The future's so bright. I gotta wear shades. If you would like to come into the future with me, please stay tuned. And yes, I will explain why I quoted that Timbuk3 song from 1986. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin, and welcome to the Michelle Fondin Author vlog. This is episode number 42. And today we're going to talk about the future. And I'm the author of 14 published books, including my latest book, Love Me Unconditionally, a spiritual guide to self-love and inner peace, and its companion workbook. I am here with my pals. I've got Grogu. I've got 2 types of Gudetama. And I'm here with my Mandalorian tumbler with my Tocino Dandelion Caramel Nut Tea. Even though we're having a heat wave here in Southern California, I still insist upon drinking hot tea. Go figure, I like hot beverages. I've got a bunch of news for you about the future of this channel, the future of myself as an author, as a YouTuber, as a speaker. And I'm really, really excited to share everything with you, especially for my longtime viewers, because you've been with me since the beginning. So let's get started. Do you want to know why I started with that Timbuk3 line from The Future's So Bright, Gotta Wear Shades? It was the beginning of my career in journalism. When I was a senior in high school, I was on the school paper, and this was a feature article that I wrote about 4 new teachers at my school. And you can see the byline, Michelle Delu. Yes, Delu is my maiden name, not my married name. And so I started the article by saying, the future's so bright, gotta wear shades. This line from the Timbuk3 song sums up the attitude of the 4 new faculty members. And of course, they're all wearing shades in the picture. I thought of this because I thought about the future and how that one article, when I was a senior in high school in 1988, yes, I graduated in 1989, but that was in September of 1988, where I feel like I started my career as a writer. And having that feature in the school paper on the first month of my senior year really launched that writing career. And here I am, we're in 2026, and I feel like finally my dreams are coming to fruition. I've decided to take the next step in my writing career, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I wanted to bridge the gap between the two, meaning sometimes things take time. Sometimes things that you do not foresee have to happen first in order to realize your deepest driving desires, to realize your dreams. And that's what happened with me. Let's go over a little bit of news and updates for me, for this channel, for my books, and then I will take you into the future, and I hope you come with me. The first piece of news. In 2017, I wrote a book called How to Run a Successful Yoga Business and Not Go Broke, Lessons from a Yoga Teacher, Entrepreneur, and Modern Hippie. This is the 2026 version. Yes, I've been a busy little bee, really. I just published 2 books, and I did an entire revamp of this book. And also another book, Forbidden Fruit, which is my only published fiction book. Forbidden Fruit, an unlikely love story. It got a whole new book jacket and a whole new interior. So yes, I've been a really, really busy bee. This book, in the 2026 version, which is expanded by 100 pages. And it is all updated with a new cover, a new interior formatting, new chapters. This is coming out tomorrow, July 28th of 2026. So if you are a yoga teacher, if you are in the yoga business, if you run yoga teacher training programs, or you know someone who does, please refer them to this book, all updated and revised for 2026. That's coming out tomorrow. That leads me to my second announcement, the launch of my new company. My new company is called Harmonious Media Productions, LLC. And look at the cute logo. You can barely see it. I can try to put the logo up on the screen, but that is my new company. And my new company will be the producer of my books and the producer of my events and courses, which I'll talk about in just a minute. I'm really excited for Harmonious Media Productions, and this is something about the future. And I will be hiring for my company as well. I anticipate in the very near future, from 2027 forward, to be hiring 2 full-time employees as well as 4 part-time employees. So there you go. Another huge piece of news for me moving into the future. So I'm really excited about Harmonious Media Productions. It's been about a couple years in the making that I've been thinking about opening a company. A lot of you know, and I explained it in this book, a lot of you know I had a company. I had the Ayurvedic Path, which was a yoga studio that I ran between 2008 and 2018. A lot of financial problems in that company, learning from a lot of mistakes of being an entrepreneur. And I was very, very gun shy about opening another company. And I decided I must do it if I want to take my business to the next level, if I want to take my speaking to the next level and my writing to the next level and publishing. So there you go. So not only do I have a new book, renewed, right? Second edition, 100 additional pages, but I also have a new company to back it, Harmonious Media Productions. Really, really excited about that. Which leads me to YouTube. Yay! I love YouTube. I will always love YouTube. What I've realized is that there has been an incredible imbalance in my business activities. For many years, as many of you know, as I just celebrated this year, 15 years on YouTube as a content creator. I actually celebrated my 15 years. I can even put a video up here so you can see that. I celebrated my 15 years on YouTube. And for the last several years, my business activities have been a little bit skewed, meaning I had placed a majority of my time on creating content, notably on YouTube, sometimes on TikTok, and I'm trying to do that a little bit more, and sometimes on Instagram, but the bulk of my work has been on YouTube. Now, I must preface this by saying, and I say it every single time we talk about the channel, we talk about channel updates, is that I love YouTube. I love YouTube. I never see myself off of this platform unless it changes and transforms completely and it no longer aligns with my needs. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, speaking of the future, I do see myself on YouTube. That said, YouTube has done a pivot into heavy marketing and heavy viewership on the shorts end of the stick. That's really funny. I never thought of that. The shorts end of the stick. Whereas the content that I produce is more suitable for long form videos. Not that long form videos are not a thing on YouTube. It's just that a majority in competition with platforms such as TikTok and Instagram, the short form is really what is pushed more and more on YouTube. So to that end, I've decided to tilt a little bit, spend a lot more of my time doing in-person events. Now that is my huge announcement for the fall of 2026 into 2027. I as a learner, prefer to be in person with my teachers, my mentors, other authors. I prefer in-person events well over any other type of event. I prefer to feel the energy in the room. I prefer to receive the information real time. I prefer to have that entire focus of my time on that course, the seminar, the workshop, the lecture, whatever it happens to be. So for me, that's the way I learn. That's not to say that we can't learn through YouTube or Zoom or online courses. We most certainly can. But I really feel like it's been lost. I feel like the in-person, person-to-person connection has been lost, especially since 2020, especially since Zoom has become more popular. Because we really couldn't do so much of that on Skype. It was a little bit, but it wasn't as user-friendly for businesses as these newer platforms are. Therefore, most people have moved to online. Most people have moved to online courses. I decided that if I am craving in-person contact with others, that you might be too. You might be craving that same connection. So that leads me to the future of my first pivot point. My first pivot point is I had anticipated that self-love mastery, which was to be my 8-week immersion into transforming your life through self-love. And I have 18 points for this. They're like touch points. I need to find a better word. They're like entry points or touch points into loving yourself unconditionally. That material comes directly from my 2 books, Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love and Inner Peace, and the companion workbook. So my initial thought, my initial plan was to have a complete online course to support that material and to support you. If you are like, I've got to heal my inner child, I've got to get over codependency, I want better relationships, I want to love myself more and increase my self-esteem, my self-worth, I want to be able to articulate my wants, needs, and desires, I want to set better boundaries. If that is you, I want the course to support you. Not only the books, but the course. And I also have a VIP coaching program one-on-one with me that would also support that, but that's a higher ticket item. So initially I decided I'm going to do an online course for this. And then after creating Harmonious Media Productions, after thinking about meeting you guys in person in various places, I said, this doesn't make sense to me. First, I want that connection with you guys. And it's not a one-way connection like we have here on YouTube. That's just one way, right? It's me speaking to you, you receiving, and maybe giving feedback, right? But that doesn't always happen because a lot of people now, myself included, a lot of people now are viewing YouTube on their TVs, on their smart TVs. And so it's not really practical to interact or leave comments, right? Because you're watching it. You might be cooking or something, but you're watching it, you're consuming the material, but you're not necessarily interacting with that material. So I wanted something real. And while my company, my baby little company, is not ready yet to be doing weekend seminars, which I will be doing in 2027, not sure exactly at what point that's going to start, but I figure, what if I were to do a 6-week, not an 8-week? I found that overkill for a Zoom-related class. What if I were to do a 6-week, 2.5-hour each session Zoom class for you guys on self-love mastery? We go through each of these 18 entry points, take 3 a week, with a supporting video each week, maybe one 45-minute video to support you each week. But the main meat and potatoes of the course, and maybe I should say my main tofu, rice, and veggies of the course, because that's what I eat, would be the Zoom course 6 weeks, you and me, over Zoom, small group probably, and that would be 2.5 hours every single time. And so that would be my first pivot to not just an online course, not something that you have to hold yourself accountable for and not have any interaction with me, but Zoom, a class. We're sitting in a Zoom classroom together, having interactions for 2.5 hours over the course of 6 weeks. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing is the in-person events. Now, I'm starting with book signings at Barnes & Noble Books in Southern California. I don't quite have the dates yet. They have not yet been locked down, but it's starting with Orange County, California, because that's where I live. We're going to start with book signings at Barnes & Noble. It's going to move to evenings with me in Southern California, maybe for 60 to 90 minutes, learning more about self-love, how to foster that relationship with yourself, how to get more in touch with your truth, your center, the authenticity within. It's going to start with that 60 to 90 minutes with me, an evening, a weekend around Southern California. Then it will expand to a 1-day, 9.5-hour workshop on a Saturday or Sunday. My plan is to have the same course, Self-Love Mastery, but in 1 day in an in-person workshop. And then on the subsequent day, an optional workshop would be healing your inner child, healing your wounded inner child. Because that work, when I was doing it for the book and when I was writing it and moving through all the steps myself, I realized that that needs to be an entire other workshop, that alone can take up an entire day, if not a full weekend, or maybe a 4-day course, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. What I anticipate for 2027 are in-person workshops on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is self-love mastery, Sunday is inner child healing. And you could take one, or you could take both, or you could take one or the other. So that is what I anticipate, and that is what I will be doing. Now, you might be wondering, what are you going to be doing on YouTube then? Currently, if you have not yet viewed it, I have Love Me Unconditionally, your self-love masterclass. That is on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that is every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we are doing the 14 traits of unconditional self-love, which are listed in my new book. Okay, so that's what we're doing for the next 14 weeks. Well, I've already done 3, so I guess in the next 11 weeks. Then I will be doing some Michelle Fondin Author vlogs and then some other videos, but likely as I prepare to do these in-person events and as I prepare to do the Zoom course that will be starting on September 17th of this year, I'll be doing probably like 1 long form video on YouTube weekly and a few shorts, because I can't kill myself over this, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Right now, I am the only one working for myself. Finally, what I'd like to run by you are YouTube live streams. If you have suggestions of what you would like to see on a YouTube live stream, I was thinking about a problem-solving live stream. Meaning, you come to me with a problem via super chat, super sticker, comment section during a live stream, a 1 question, right? It can't get so complex, but a 1 question about a problem you're having. I will be able to answer you with a solution from one of the 18 entry points of self-love. Let me give you an example. If you have an issue with trust, and for example, you say to me on the live stream in a super chat, you say, I really have a problem trusting in a romantic relationship. I never think the person is going to call me back, text me back. I have this real issue with being able to trust that, with like letting go and surrendering, that I feel like I have to coerce them to text back or message back or coerce them to call back or chase them in some way. I'm really having this problem with trust. And then I would give you the answer based on one of the entry points of self-love. One of the things I wrote about in the Wounded Inner Child chapter is that the trust versus mistrust that psychologist Erik Erikson speaks about comes between the ages of 0 to 2 years. I would highly suggest to you, if that was your question, to go back to that stage of development and move through the exercises in the book to heal that area of trust versus mistrust. That would just be one answer. And I could probably give you 4 more answers as part of those entry points to unconditional self-love for that one question. So there you go. That would be an example of a live stream I would do. And if you have other ideas for a live stream, now one thing that I won't be doing on this channel anymore is I used to do tarot readings on this channel. I'm not going to be doing them in a live stream anymore. However, I still do one-on-one tarot readings. So if you are interested in getting a twin flame tarot reading, a love tarot reading, a tarot reading about career, life path and purpose, family relationships, moving, whatever life issue you happen to be dealing with, I still do those one-on-one. Now, the reason why I don't do them on a platform anymore is because I found that I really want to dig deeper with you, that I can give you so much more in a one-on-one session, even a 40-minute one-on-one session. Most oftentimes, if you're coming with a complex issue, you really need an hour to 90 minutes. But a lot of times, we can get to the core of that issue, and your angelic team, your spirit guides can really help you advance very quickly. And it wasn't so much possible to do that with a one-card answer on YouTube. So that's why I decided not to do that anymore. I really like serving you in the best way possible. So if you are interested in getting a one-on-one tarot reading and coaching with me, I will put that link in the description box below. I may also put it on the screen. So there you go. Let's move into the future together. Now, I hope that I will get to meet you in person. And if you live in Southern California, please let me know, and I will let you know when I'm going to be doing those book signings at Barnes & Noble. Also, if you have a group, whether it's a group of teenagers, whether it's a recovery group, whether it's just a group of women who like to read and study spiritual things, and you would like for me to come to your city to speak in 2027, then you can sponsor me to come over and speak, and we can talk about that. But I would love to come to your group and speak about unconditional self-love and teach you in person. That would be phenomenal. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here today, right? Don't forget to put on your shades because the future is so bright. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing if you are not yet subscribed. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for sharing this with others who could use a little more self-love, self-care, self-nurturing, and I will see you in the next video.